Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jody Holland. I want to welcome you to the Good Scout Lunch. Scouting has a long history of making a positive impact on the world. Some of the Eagle Scouts who have paved the way in changing the landscape of the world as we know it include people like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the first two people to set foot on the moon; Guyon Bluford, the first African American in space; Philo T. Farnsworth, the inventor of the modern television; Baseball Hall of Famer Hank Aaron; legendary NBA player Michael Jordan; Major League Baseball pitcher Nolan Ryan; former CBS journalist Walter Cronkite; adventure novelist Clive Cussler; civil rights pioneer Martin Luther King Jr., Sam Walton, who founded Walmart; entertainers such as Jack Black, John Bon Jovi, Harrison Ford, Zach Galifianakis, Andy Griffith, Jay Leno, Mike Rowe, George Strait, and of course, the legendary John Wayne. Our investment today will shape the future of our world for both our kids and our grandkids. The impact that scouting has had and continues to have by positively shaping the values, the drive, and the leadership of today's youth and tomorrow's leaders is profound, to say the least. I'm honored to serve as this year's Golden Spread Council Good Scout Lunch Chair. As someone who devotes his time professionally to the development of great leaders, I recognize the importance that this kind of a program has on future generations of employees, supervisors, leaders, and business owners. This is exactly why it has been such an easy decision to be a part of the council. I want to thank you for taking your time today to invest in such a worthy cause, one that will help shape a positive future for our area. I'd also like to thank Shane Brooks, the table chair sponsor, Brian Bruckner, the table host chair, and of course, the rest of the committee for their due diligence in making this such an amazing event for both scouting and for the community. Today is a celebration of character. Today is a celebration of impact, and today is a celebration of our community. We celebrate America's largest character-building youth program that is now over 112 years old. Welcome to the 21st Annual Good Scout Lunch. Sorry, I flipped my page too quick there. I'd like to introduce Troop 633, if you would come forward for the invocation as well as for the presentation of colors and leading the Eagle Charge.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity to come together and celebrate your many blessings. We ask for knowledge and guidance for our country's leaders and pray for the military men and women who strive to protect us. Please bless the scouting community and the many people who fueled its efforts. Watch over all our endeavors around the world. Strengthen us as we live out the Scout oath and law each day. We give thanks to those here today who offer their time and resources to support our council. Bless our meals and hands that have prepared it. Help us stay focused on throughout our journey with scouting. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Please rise for the presentation of the colors. Color guard, attention. Color guard, forward, march. Color guard, halt. Prepare to post the colors. Hand salute. Post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Now we'd like anyone who is or was a scout to please remain standing. Others may be seated. Please join me in the Scout Oath and Law. Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Scout Law. A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Now we'd like anyone who is an Eagle Scout to remain standing to reaffirm your Eagle. Please repeat after me. I reaffirm my allegiance to the three promises of the Scout Oath. I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country. And I will obey the Scout Law. I realize that the Eagle rank is not the end, but the beginning. To this I pledge my sacred honor. Thank you. You may be seated.
Color guard about face. Color guard reform. Color guard halt. Return to post. Color guard halt. Color guard at ease. Thank you.
Thank you, Troop 633. Outstanding job. Today, we're gathered to do 4 things. First, we're here to hear about the positive impact that scouting is having in our community. Next, we're here to present 2 Good Scout Awards to 2 outstanding community partners that support scouting and the Texas Panhandle with their time and with their talent. Third, we're here to hear our keynote speaker, Gentner F. Drummond, and it's going to be fantastic. And lastly, we're here to invest in the future of our youth and our community through financially supporting our local scouting program. This luncheon, the Golden Spread Council and the youth it serves are very grateful for our community's long history of generous support, and I am grateful that each of you are here today. Now, I'd like to introduce Paige Tobler, the Senior Patrol Leader for Troop 4086.
My name is Paige Tobler, and I'm the Senior Patrol Leader from Troop 4086. Today, I have the pleasure to tell you about the Golden Spread Council that consists of 27 counties in the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. Our council is served by 4 districts: Adobe Walls, Lone Wolf, Quanah Parker, and Golden Eagle. In the wake of COVID-19, I think that scouting is more important than ever. I can attest that it has provided a much-needed social outlet for my friends and I. Scouting has given me the opportunity to go camping in places like Yellowstone National Park, Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico, and Robbers Cave in Oklahoma. We have done activities such as snowshoeing, blacksmithing, spar pole climbing, kayaking, and my personal favorite, waking up at 5:30 a.m. in Wyoming to do the polar bear plunge. Things have not always gone as planned. I remember a 5-mile hike turning into a 7-mile hike, the canoeing merit badge turning into a water war, and getting to put our first aid training to the test after our friend fell in a cactus during a campout. Our leaders are very patient, fun, and great mentors. Scouting has changed my life for the better, and I'm always looking forward to our next adventure. Today is an important day for our council, the 21st Annual Good Scout Lunch. Your support is what makes scouting possible for people like me in the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. As scouts, we are committed to the values of the Scout Oath and Scout Law and know the importance of service to our community. It is now with great pleasure that I introduce Venture Crew 2086 to deliver the 2021 Golden Spread Council highlights.
Thank you, Paige, and what an honor to be here. The 2021 Virtual Merit Badge. Now for the Golden Spread Council 2021 Impact and Success. The virtual 2021 Merit Badge University was attended by 206 BSA Scout members. The BSA Scout Camp was attended in person by 225 Scouts and volunteers at MK Brown. They had a great time. They had a great competing against one another, but more importantly, they had fun. Spookery attendance was attended in person by 800 Cub Scouts, siblings, leaders, and parents. This took place at both our camp properties, MK Brown and Camptown Harrington.
Spookery attendance was attended in person by about 800 Cub Scouts, siblings, leaders, and parents. This took place at both of our camp properties, MK Brown and Camptown Harrington. Scout BSA members earned 1,293 merit badges, and Cub Scouts earned 834 rank advancements. We also had 43 new Eagle Scouts, and many of them are here today.
During our Scouting for Food events, over 13,682 meals were provided to local food banks in the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, as well as 23,887 hours of community service across our service area. We held our annual Scouts BSA camp at Camp MK Brown along with our Polaris camp, which is the first year of camping program. And I now have the honor of introducing Brian Tobler, Scout Executive and CEO of the Golden Spread Council.
Well, it is great to see everyone here today to help us celebrate and support scouting in our community. We're very excited to have Gentner Drummond as our guest speaker today. And I'd like to recognize a few folks. First, Jody Holland for being our Good Scout Lunch Chair this year. And as he mentioned, Brian Bruckner and Shane Brooks and all the members of the table host and table sponsor committees. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of staff doing work. And for us, the person that's heading up this event is Chase Roach. He's our Senior Development Director, and he's done a wonderful job. I really think that the strength of our council starts at the top, and it starts with our board. And we have a phenomenal board, and I'd ask if you're a board member of the Golden Spread Council to please stand now and be recognized. This is one of the most important events that we have every year for the Golden Spread Council, and as you can probably imagine, planning an event at this scale, a lot of things can go wrong. You have to secure enough sponsorships, you have to drive attendance, have the right amount of food, and then there's the factors outside of your control. We never know the weather of the panhandle, which I've learned over the last 2 years, and then you have that COVID factor that's always looming over you. Really, everything went well, and it's almost kind of scary. We had our hiccups, and my favorite one was just 2 weeks ago. I got home and opened up a piece of mail from Potter County, and it said, official jury summons for February 22nd. I thought, okay, that's 2 days before the lunch. We can make that work, but let me call the clerk and see. So I get to the office, and this is not a joke, and I see Chase, and I said, hey, just so you know, I got called for jury duty. I'm going to make a call. And he just looked at me, he smiled, and held up a piece of paper from Potter County. Chase Roach, you have been summoned for jury duty. I'd like to know who's messing with us at the county. But with that being said, they were very understanding. They allowed us to move our time. We're still going to do our duty. But it was kind of a funny story. We have a great program planned for you today. And I'm just going to finish with a very short story. And I think it's important to share because to me, it's a perfect example, a very personal example of the impact of the Golden Spread Council right here. It's about a young person who was very shy. In fact, this person didn't speak to anyone, any other students, or even their teachers until the 3rd grade. To make matters even more difficult and more challenging, this person had to move twice and had to move in the middle of their 8th grade year, moved to Amarillo, Texas. And it was right at the height of COVID, by the way. And so after some discussion with this person's father, they agreed to join a Scouts BSA troop right here in Amarillo. Almost immediately, they started making friends, having fun, getting leadership opportunities, and building confidence. Fast forward to today, that's 2 years later. This young person is a Star Scout and on track to be a 4th-generation Eagle Scout. She was elected senior patrol leader. She's a straight-A student and just went to state marching band. On top of that, for being a shy person, she just got up here and spoke in front of 700 people, and that's my daughter, Paige, and I'm so proud of you. Scouting has helped Paige build courage, confidence, character, and given her leadership opportunities. Scouting has endless examples, just like this one, that proves that we are building tomorrow's leaders. The Golden Spread Council can only help build the future of our community with your support. We're so thankful and glad that you're here with us today. It is now my pleasure to ask Amarillo Market President and Chief Lending Officer of First Bank Southwest and Golden Spread Council President, Will Miller, to help present this year's Good Scout Awards.
All right, welcome everybody. Appreciate you being here. I just want to say I appreciate the Scouts being up in front of a big crowd of people and speaking, because I'm nervous and I shouldn't be. For them to be up here in front did a fantastic job, and we appreciate them doing that. Since 2002, the Golden Spread Council has presented the Good Scout Award annually. It recognizes community leaders, foundations, organizations that have had a positive impact on our community and mirror the values of Scouting. We've done this for a long, long time, and the list of recipients is really the pinnacle of our communities, and really proud of what they've done for us as the council. Is Mr. Ritchie here? Our first recipient, Charles Ritchie, who's not here at this point, he was traveling and wasn't sure if he was going to get here, is our first recipient of the Good Scout Award. I've told many people, once you get into scouting, you can't ever get out. They don't let you. You're sucked in for the rest of your life, one way or the other, like it or not. And Mr. Ritchie is the perfect example of that. He started his scouting career in 1954 and became an Eagle Scout in 1964. He served on the aquatic staff of Camp Don Harrington for 14 years and was Assistant Scoutmaster of Troop 80. He then changed his focus to support the Kwahadi Indian Scout program ever since. The Kwahadis are a fellowship of scouting families who work together to provide leadership, educational experiences for our youth through travel and performances. The Scouts make their own costumes and carefully learn the culture so that they can accurately honor the dances of the native people they represent. Got some pretty fantastic statistics for Mr. Ritchie's time with the Kwahadis. Since his involvement, they have awarded over 300 Eagle Scouts. I mean, that's a phenomenal number. A very hard to achieve a rank. Over 300 Eagle Scouts. Over 2,500 boys and girls have performed in 3,700 performances in 46 states and across the world. They travel up to 20,000 miles every year across the country performing the dances. They've been honored with the Youth Award for Excellence by the Texas Commission for the Arts and were selected to represent the United States at the International Festival of the Arts in Amman, Jordan. They have performed countless jamborees and scouting events, and even for the Olympic Committee in South Korea. Again, Mr. Ritchie could not be here today, but I'd like to congratulate him on the recipient of the 2022 Good Scout Award. If you have the chance to go see a Kwahadi performance, it's really fantastic, and it'd be well worth your time if you haven't done that. The second Good Scout Award I'm really excited about as well, and I'd like Donna Soria up. My good friend Donna. We've been around each other for a long time. Come on. If you don't know Donna, I don't know how you don't, but she wants to give her own speech, and I'm not sure she might not just tackle me and do it anyway. But Donna is the executive director of the Maverick Club, Maverick Boys and Girls Club of Amarillo. The club serves children 5 to 17 for 88 years in this community. An incredibly important organization that's been a phenomenal partner with us for a long, long time. The Maverick Boys and Girls Club accommodates up to 500 kids every day, 5 different sites. Most of you probably know their main building there on I-40 in Lincoln, which they've been at for 74 years. Last year they added another site at Bivens Elementary, adding another 50 kids. This year the Maverick is making history by staying open until 1 a.m. Again, such an example of what is needed in our community to help at-risk kids and allow parents to have a place for their kids to be. This was done with a partnership with Tyson Foods, helping them for the employees on the B shift so that they can feel good about where their kids are. And it's a major commitment from the Maverick Club. They bus kids in from over 15 schools every day. Upon arrival at the Maverick Club, they're served a hot meal provided by the High Plains Food Bank. Then they have Power Hour, which is time for them to do their homework and tutoring. And their real focus, and something I know they're proud of, is they've increased their reading levels from 33% to 88% in the last 3 years. Yeah. The kids get to do all kinds of cool stuff. They do photography and art and sewing, chess, something called the Bug Club and Spider Club. They're designing a 55-gallon fish tank. It sounds like a perfect place to have scouting, right? I mean, ideal. The Maverick Club is famous for many athletes that have come through their program and gone on to even win gold medals at the Olympics. For us and our partnership with them has been something that's been, I think, a game changer for the council, and having ability to participate in their program is something I know we're very proud of. 89% of the current members of the club are below the poverty guidelines. And so the Maverick Club's vision is to include as many kids in their community as possible and is safe and serve kids. And that's why we're here today. So Donna, we appreciate your partnership. We enjoy it, and I think it's a real important thing for us. So congratulations on receiving the Good Scout Award. I did? All right, where'd Jody go? Back to Jody.
Thank you, Will. It's now my honor to introduce Gentner F. Drummond. Following graduation from Oklahoma State as the university's top graduate, Mr. Drummond flew the F-15C fighter jet in 2 operational Air Force squadrons between 1986 and 1992, serving as a combat mission commander in the Gulf War and earning the Distinguished Flying Cross and 3 air medals. He then attended Georgetown Law while serving U.S. Senator Boren as a legislative assistant. Currently, he owns or is the majority owner of Blue Sky Bank, Drummond Communications LLC, which is U.S. Cellular's largest national agency, Post Oak Lodge and Retreat, an Osage County cattle ranch, and a 12-lawyer firm. He's also involved with abstracting and title services in Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico through Oklahoma Abstract Partners and Oklahoma Title Partners, respectively. Answering the call to duty once more, Mr. Drummond currently is a candidate for Oklahoma Attorney General. Mr. Drummond's civic involvement includes Philbrook Museum, where he's the former chairman, the American Red Cross as the former chairman, Indian Nations Council Boy Scouts of America, where he's the former president, Oklahoma State University Foundation as the governor, Blue Sky Bank as a director, Tulsa Botanic Garden as a patron, and Warburton Capital Management as the director. Gentner is an Eagle Scout and is married to Wendy Poole. Wendy Poole. And they have 6 children and 5 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the keynote speaker for the 2022 Good Scout Lunch, Gentner F. Drummond.
Jody, thank you for that kind introduction, and it's a pleasure to be in the Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle. I have to tell you, we Oklahomans, we put Oklahoma before Texas on that, so I noticed that everybody on the podium put Texas before Oklahoma, but T follows O, just so we can be clear. I would like to acknowledge Wendy, who is traveling with me. She is the better half of the Drummond combination, and it's a delight to have Wendy join us today. Thank you. And you have to know another connectivity between the eastern side of Oklahoma and the eastern side of New Mexico, which happens to coincide today right here in Amarillo, and that's Julie Phillips Pickens. Yep. I'm saying your last name wrong. I'm sorry. But Puckett, Julie Puckett. And Julie is the great-granddaughter of Waite and Genevieve Phillips, who founded Philbrook Museum, for which I was a chair, also Philmont, which so many of us have enjoyed. And having Julie in the Amarillo market is a delight for scouting. And Julie, thank you so much for your great service to so many organizations. I'm going to say a few remarks, and that's the price of coming to a luncheon. You understand that. But what is the most important thing while I'm speaking, and I know that Jody's going to probably touch on this, as will, this card, start filling it out. In scouting, there are three legs to the stool. There are the members, which we saw today, and we can be very proud of the next generation. There's the programs, but the things that make the programs happen to facilitate the members is the money. So we need that support. I know that this is your primary fundraising event of the year. So you are here for a reason. You're either deeply devoted to scouting, or you have a friend that is just absolutely not going to let you get away without coming to this banquet. Either way, please fill it out. In any denomination, small numbers add up to big numbers, and you can spread it out over the entire year. So do that, and Chase would be happy to accommodate that. So fill out that card and leave it. Now, to the matter at hand. I will tell you, if, with the exception of family and faith, nothing in my life has been more important than scouting. And when I'm asked to speak at a scouting event, it's absolutely simple and something I love to do because I'm so passionate about it. And I'm going to give you just a few anecdotals as we go along. I grew up in the middle of a cattle ranch. My nearest neighbor was 7 miles away. The one escape from the ranching heritage was scouting. So if you were involved in a scout activity, it was an absolute pass. So my brothers and I learned early that if we would do everything in scouting, then we were at the back of the line working less, pushing up cattle, getting kicked, and everything else on that you would have growing up on a cattle ranch. But it was a great opportunity to broaden our horizons, living literally as remotely as we did. So from the very youngest age, from bobcat, wolf, bear, webelow, all the way up, my brothers and I were just a little unit, and we loved scouting. My father was a scoutmaster, and then subsequently the council president. My grandfather was a scoutmaster, and subsequently council president, and I followed in their path, in their prints. Scouting provides for these young people an opportunity to develop skills that they would not otherwise get to have. And your attendance here today is so important in that you can contribute and support that. In my path along scouting, I did everything I possibly could and learned so much, from national jamborees and world jamborees and scout camp counselor and scout camping, Philmont, all the water and winter sports. It was remarkable. When I graduated, and just for you scouters out there, just to get the complete narrative, obviously Eagle Scout, Vigil Honor Member, things like that. And scouting became just part of my DNA. I was used to wearing a uniform, and I enjoyed wearing a uniform. And it seemed to me a natural progression from Boy Scouting to the military. And I remember showing up at Oklahoma State as a young freshman, and I thought, at Parents' Day, my father asked me, so how's ROTC? And I thought, I haven't signed up yet. And he goes, you need to go do that. So to get in that late, I had to go meet with the president, and he said, sure, you can join. And I joined the Army ROTC. Back in those days, the Army and the Air Force, they immediately screened their candidates with with the standardized test. It's the Air Force Officer Qualification Test, Army Air Force Officer Qualification Test. And so, being a simple country boy from the Osage, whose mother was a English fanatic and would drill English into my head, and my father was a scientist and a mathematician, would drill that into my head, I always tested just real well. So I took this test, and I did real well. And the Air Force officer came calling at my dormitory and said, Mr. Drummond, yes, we'd like to recruit you over to the Air Force side. And I go, well, I'm in the Army side. And they go, well, no, we need to come over on the Air Force side. And I said, well, why would I want to do that? And he said, well, son, Army people, they walk. But the Air Force people, they fly. And I go, well, that sounds intriguing, but I've never flown. I don't know anything about flying. And he goes, well, son, you got the scores. I'll teach you how to fly. So you come on over to the Air Force side. I thought, that sounds pretty cool. So went through Oklahoma State, had some great success, and went to flight school. Showed up. It was actually in Texas, at Wichita Falls. Those who are familiar with Shepherd Air Force Base, it's a Euro-NATO training facility. So I never had an American instructor throughout flight school. They were always Europeans. And because my first name is Gentner and it's a German derivative, the Germans were the predominant instructors and they loved me. So they just adopted me as one of their own. And as I showed up, there were principally European students, but also a few Americans. And these Americans all had masters in engineering and could build an airplane or an engine or a radar and things like that. And I was an agricultural economics major. So I had no background in aviation at all, but I did have this background. When they put us all in our flight suits, I had boots. I was familiar with boots as a young growing up on a ranch. And our G suit was a lot like Shap's, and so that made me very comfortable. And, we had our harness for our parachute, which was exactly the vest you would wear, as on horseback. And, instead of a straw hat or a felt hat, we had a helmet. So I just felt natural in that cockpit. And then growing up, literally, it was important that even all of our children have ridden before they could walk. I was trained as a young man on the ranch that the horse always talks to you. So really skilled horsemen communicate with a horse through your legs and your rump, and you feel them, and they know you, and you become one with that. So not knowing much about aviation, I just let the jet talk to me, and I talked back. And that's kind of how I flew, and it became very natural, and it's because of that naturalness, I did very well, and because I did very well, I got to pick the jet I wanted. And I remember graduating at the end, we got to pick, and there were F4s, F16s, F15s, F-whatever's, A10s, things like that. And I thought, I need a little duplicity. So I was sitting there looking at an F-16 and an F-15. I noticed the F-16 both had just one seat, right? So you didn't have anybody in the back seat. There was no back seat. One had one engine, one had two. One had one tail, one had two. I thought, okay, I'll go with the one with two. So I picked the F-15. And I say that, but I'll get to the why I'm so delighted I picked the one with the two engines. But I went to train in the F-15 and had a great success in my first fighter squadron. And they have a program in the military. They don't think it's healthy for a young pilot to go operational to operational. That it's too intense. You should have a break. But as a carrot, every wing, which is 72 pilots, the commander gets to give one pilot an operational to operational assignment. So happens that my commander was an Oklahoma State graduate. I think it had nothing to do with my skill, other than the fact he liked the fact I was an Oklahoma State graduate. And he called me and he said, hey, Gentner, I'm going to give you get your choice. You get to go anywhere you want to go. I go, really? And I go, I'd like to go to Germany. He goes, nah, I don't think you need to go to Germany. I go, well, and the F-15s were flying in Amsterdam back then. I said, well, I'll go to Amsterdam. And he goes, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I go, Japan? He goes, no. I go, Colonel, where do I want to go? And he goes, I've got this friend in Virginia, and he's going to be just a great commander for you, so I think you should go to Virginia. I go, Yes, sir. So I packed up my bags, moved in July of 1990 to Virginia. And I in process, and I get a familiar flight in the area, and I start flying. And lo and behold, August 5 rolls around, and Saddam Hussein invades Iraq. And the other side of the story that Colonel told me, by the way, my friend that I'm sending you to, his squadron is the squadron that goes first anywhere we go to war. It's the swing squadron. We don't typically have combat in the United States. So if it were a European theater, we'd go to Europe. If it were an Asian theater, you go to Asia, Southeast Asia. Saddam invades. We all get called in. And I'm going to say this to some of my vaccine-sensitive people. This is my experience. We line up. There's 32 of us. We take our flight suit off, and we tie it around our waist, and we walk up to the first medical technicians. They had pins. Odd. And from your shoulder down to your elbow, it was 1 through 7. They wrote the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You step to the next station, the 1s stuck you. The next station, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, 5s, 6, 7s. I had no idea what I was getting stuck with, but I knew that if I wanted to get on the jet the next morning, I needed to be stuck 14 times, and so I took it. And so the next morning, we were strapping F-15s to our backs, saying goodbye to spouses and children, not knowing where we were going or when we were coming back. And literally, we took off. My squadron, 24 jets got airborne. I was number 3 of the 24, and number 3 is the backup leader to number 1, because that friend, remember, I was his protege, so I'm number 3. Over Newfoundland, he develops cabin pressure problems and diverts into Newfoundland, and all of a sudden now number 3 is now number 1, and I'm going across the Atlantic with 22 jets behind me. I don't even know the guys' names yet, but yet I'm leading them across the ocean. And the interesting thing, just to give you some insight into the military, at this point it was early in the war, nobody was talking, the media didn't know, and our allies had not been told. But while we were flying across the Atlantic, our military was trying to coordinate with our European allies so that we could have overflight rights. Well, that didn't happen by the time I got to the Strait of Gibraltar, because they told me to fly between the strait and don't touch land on either side. So we all lined up in single file and flew across the Strait of Gibraltar, across the Mediterranean, and now all of a sudden I realize I'm running out of water because now the Mediterranean is coming to land, and I got a directive to go south over Egypt and then back across the Red Sea as a sojourner into Saudi Arabia, flew across Saudi Arabia to the Persian Gulf, and landed as the first American in theater. And it makes sense if you think about it. We've got Army, which I'm going to come to that story, it's very important, and Marines and Navy. But if you don't have air protection, the bad guys can drop things on the good guys, and then there's problems. So we had to land first, and we immediately got up into combat readiness and began patrolling and defending the skies of Saudi Arabia. And for 5.5 months, that's what we did. That was called Desert Shield. And for 5.5 months, airplanes after airplanes would fly in, dropping off Army personnel and Marines, and the ships came in with the Navy, and we became a very robust fighting force. The war begins in January, the 17th there, the 16th here. And at that point, we had scripted out the first 3 days of the war, and there were 4 attack axes going into different quadrants of Iraq and Kuwait, and I got to lead, oddly enough, one of those strike packages. It was a strike package of 48 fighter bombers behind 4 F-15s that I was in the front of, and we flew across it was the most surreal thing, and I'll share this with you, if you can appreciate the edge of the podium is the border with Iraq, and as we're flying toward the border, the radars are out, the bad guys can see us coming. I'm thinking, oh my, we're going to cross this border, they're going to start shooting at us. And then everything went silent. And what that was is the integration of our military. Our special forces had infiltrated and had killed all of those people that were operating radar sites. So we flew across with no radar on us. But every Iraqi was scared to death and began shooting. And it was as though you were walking across flak fields with the air bursts of their AAA. It was very surreal. Bad guys launched against us. We pushed them out from the southwest corner of Baghdad, and in came my fighter bombers and dropped their stuff. My number 3 and 4 man led them out, and I and my wingman stayed over target until everybody was off. As we followed out our strike package toward Saudi Arabia, I was ordered to go back north. And here comes the scouting lesson. In scouting, we are trained to do the right thing. We are trained in character and putting mission before self, the group before our individual needs. We're disciplined. We're trained. We have examples, great male and female leadership. We have peer leadership. We have peer pressure. It's a great experience for a young person to have in scouting. I'm now headed back north with my wingman and trail, and I'm ordered to kill. And sure enough, 125 miles out of my nose, I find the person I'm supposed to kill. And at my speed at 30,000 feet at 1.4 Mach, and his speed at 5,000 feet and 350 miles an hour, I had a great advantage. And it was as though I was shooting into a covey of quail. And so I delayed, and I ran internally my decision whether he was really a bad guy or not. I was ordered to kill, ordered to kill, ordered to kill. And I ignored and disobeyed that order 3 times. Ran the intercept. It was a Saudi Tornado pilot that had been disengaged from our strike package, went north into Baghdad, realized, and then was coming back south. I escorted him back home. He went to his side of the base. I went to my side of the base. As I got off the ladder, there's some military police guys in here, I've seen, and some law enforcement over there. I got arrested for disobeying 3 direct orders. A little confusion on the first day of the war. I'm being escorted back in, and the word comes from the Saudi side to the American side back down to my base, and it's like, whoever that pilot was, let's give him a distinguished flying cross right now, because he did not kill a Saudi prince. So, it was good luck. I mean, I guess nobody would have known if I killed him, I guess, in the middle of the war, but I felt good about not killing the good guy. Brought him back, was awarded the distinguished flying cross, and really. And I say that because it's a great story, but 2, what it teaches, what it illustrates for our communities and our young people is 1, the military really takes what we have in scouting and develops on it. And the military men and women that serve our nation today, of which one of our sons is an F-16 pilot, is mission before self. Courage and discipline and character to do the right thing, even if it hurts. And that's what we're missing sometimes at our federal level and our state level. But that's not what we're missing in scouting. And that is the lesson of the day. In scouting, we teach integrity and character. We teach self-reliance and assurance and the discipline to do the right thing. After the war, after that, it was a remarkable war for me. I got to do a lot of great things. And as I came back, I thought, there's really nothing more I can do other than screw this up. And so I got out of the military and went to law school. My father was like, it's about time for you to grow up and come back to the ranch. And so I did. And it's been a remarkable 28 years or 30 years since that experience. Wendy and I have raised 6 wonderful children. All very strong functioning adults. We have a couple of Eagle Scouts. We're very proud of them. We have 5 grandchildren, probably another 10 over the next 5 to 7 years. And we are going to encourage 100% of our grandchildren, to be in scouting in some form or fashion, because it is so meaningful and so impactful. And so you that enjoy the scouting tradition in the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma can continue to promote scouting in your communities. It's been a dark time with the pandemic and some of the things that are happening on a national level, but it's so valuable to our communities that we must continue to support our youth so that they will make the difference, so that as we pass off that torch, it's passed off in good stead. I thank you so much for your attention. God bless this community.
was fantastic. First, I want to say thank you for that. Was an amazing speech. That was also very inspiring. We have a tradition here in the Golden Spread Council of giving our keynote speaker a special trophy and an M.K. Brown Summer Camp Scout BSA campership in your honor. Campership will help a local scout attend summer camp. So one more time, a round of applause for Gentner Drummond.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Now I'd like to talk to you about what you can do to help scouting in the local area. The good news is that scouting is alive and well and doing very well in our communities. We have 2 local council camps for scouts to use year-round, Camp Don Harrington and Camp M.K. Brown. Scouting is an incredible program and distinctive in its ability to build leadership, resiliency, and drive in today's youth. The scouting programs take today's youth and help shape them into leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and the heroes that we need for our future. It lays out a blueprint for both success and fulfillment in their lives. When faced with negative influences, scouts have the character and the social support to stand up for what is right, even when it's tough, and as we learned, even when sometimes you have to critically think for yourself. I've witnessed so many incredible people investing through the scouting programs, their time, their energy, and their money. The young men and women who participate in these programs are equipped with a strong moral compass to always know true north, an ethical foundation to make challenging choices, and the leadership principles to succeed in any career or any endeavor that they undertake. There's a strong link between scouting and educational achievement, business leadership, resilience, fulfillment, and positive economic reward as an adult. I'm very proud to say that the leadership of the Golden Spread Council invests 90% of all the monies raised today directly into scouting programs and fulfilling the mission of shaping young men and women into the leaders of tomorrow. With our local money staying local, our council makes sure that we invest all we can in our young people. This year, our cost to operate is $350 per scout. $350 is sort of the magic number. That's 96 cents per day to provide this incredible program. Not only does this provide the incredible programs and services that our scouts love, it also helps to support the paid staff that brings scouting to those who can't afford it on their own. It provides direct programs for underprivileged and underserved youth. It ensures the safety and effective running of both of our camps, and it provides our Scout Service Center. The need for this character building program grows each year, especially with those who cannot afford this or don't have the leadership in their area. Our local council spent over $57,000 last year for books, registration fees, uniforms, camp fees, and program supplies for well-deserving youth who couldn't have been in the program on their own. Our council is dedicated to making sure that no child is turned away from scouting for any financial reason. It's been said that we either invest in our future or we pay for it later. This is where your investment in the future really does count. Some of you can give the $350 to support scouting. Many of you can give more. Whatever level you're able to invest, though, please know that our youth and our leaders genuinely appreciate it. I'd like everyone to take out the donation card that Gentner referenced. It's in your program. And if you'll take just a moment and fill out your pledge and your investment to scouting for the coming year, you can include a check, you can make a payment online, you can text to donate, or even make a pledge to be billed out for the year. If you gave last year, please consider a small increase, or if you're so inclined, a really large increase would be fine as well. The more we raise, the more we invest in today's youth and tomorrow's leaders. Even a small increase of $50 to $100 from those who gave before will deliver additional programs to our scouts in this area. Many of you work for a company that matches your individual gifts. If you do, please take a moment to indicate that on your pledge letter as well. Then help the Scouts by going back this afternoon and filling out whatever paperwork or online information is required and submit that while it's still fresh on your mind. After everyone completes their pledge forms, you'll give those back to your table host. Our staff will collect the envelopes at the end of the program. So I'm going to give you a minute to fill those out. If you'll take just a minute and do that, we really do genuinely appreciate you investing in tomorrow's leaders. So take a minute and do that now. As you continue filling those out, I want to thank you for being here today, and I'd like to invite Will Miller back up to the stage to deliver the closing comments.
Well, I hate to interrupt the giving, but I suspect you guys would like to be finished as well. So finish your cards, and we appreciate it. I've got mine right here. This is the part of the program that is really important to what we are here for, is all the thank yous we need to say for today's event. It's been a great event, and we have some fantastic sponsors that have been a part of this and are a part of this year in and year out. They're in your programs. Take those with you and tell these people thank you and support their businesses and the community. I mean, most of these on this list, this isn't the only thing that they do. They do a lot of things, and that's kind of part of their scouting passion as they support our community. So please tell them thank you. I do want to highlight a few specifically. Our Eagle sponsor today, our biggest sponsor is Baptist Community Services. Life sponsors, I Am Annabelle Critcher II Foundation, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Street, the Wait and Genevieve Phillips Foundation, Street Toyota, Neely Craig and Walton, and First Bank Southwest. Star sponsors, Sprouse, Schrader and Smith Law Firm, Valero McKee Refinery, Bill and Poppy McCarty, and Gary Paul Moore. Our special event sponsor, XL Energy, Tyson, Street Toyota, A&B Asset Management, Charitable Foundations, United Way of Amarillo and Canyon, and the NRA Foundation. And then lastly, our first class sponsors are in your program. Please join me in telling them thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't tell the Golden Spread Council staff, if you're a staff member, would you please stand up or wave your hands? For those of you who don't know them, they're fantastic, and they are, none of them getting rich out there doing what they do. And so they put in an incredible amount of hours, and they all are doing this because they have a passion for what we do in scouting. And I really want to make sure, tell them thank you. The others I want to make sure we thank is our volunteers. I mean, scouting is a volunteer-heavy thing, and it doesn't happen with a handful of people, and it's not just parents and everybody. It's a really large community of people who do it every week, and they're down the trenches with that first grade group of Cub Scouts and trying to keep it from going haywire. So, and all the way up. So the volunteers that are out there, many of who are in this room and have decades of service in scouting. I want to thank the Golden Spread Council Committee for the Good Scout Lunch and Jody Holland for what they did. This is a really phenomenal turnout. I mean, 700 people in the craziness that we all are living in. And so I appreciate them organizing this, and they've changed a few things, and I think certainly got a fantastic crowd here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support of Scouting. Thank you for what you do for the community at large. This all makes everything better, and it's why we do this. Thanks for being here, and we are adjourned.